This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 17, Muskehounds, Familiar Grounds, Bats Out of Bounds.
Superman.
Hi and welcome to the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 17, Muskehounds, Familiar Grounds, and Bats Out of Bounds. I am your host for this evening, Paul Hawkins, and as ever, I am joined by
Brett Summers
and Damien Hicks.
Well, what a sunny week it's been. Hope you all had your sun cream on. I know I have. So, Damien, what have you been doing socially, first of all? But let's have some quality time together first before we delve into the wacky world of cult.
Really? You want to know about my social life?
No, okay.
To
We're
be
in
fair,
lockdown,
I didn't, but he said it. So yeah, share with us. Tell us.
Well, it was little one's second birthday, so I had a kids' party on Saturday. That was great.
Now we're
And
looking
I've finally finished the bar. I'm sat in it as we speak. I have the optics back up. I've got a bar behind me. My beer pump is up and running. Everything is now right with the world. No, it's not a euphemism. If I wanted to right now, I could go and pour myself a nice cold Amstel, but I'm not going to because it's a weeknight.
Shame don't do deliveries.
Certainly not.
Cool. Mr. Summers?
I went to work a lot. Didn't build a bar or go to a kid's birthday party. I did go out and have a beer in town in the nice pedestrianised area of Southampton, which should remain pedestrianised. Vote now, people.
Place.
It is. And I had a lovely pint at the Black Phoenix.
If you
Just
listen.
saying that, if you listen, for the Black Phoenix, very nice, and they do nice foods. Give it a look at the Black Phoenix.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's.
What about you, Paul? What about you? You forgot about yourself.
Oh, well, so it was our middle one's birthday today. I went to a birthday party around a certain bar and grill at the weekend and had much fun there. And that was about it. Just nice chilled weekend, and then back to the Grindstone on Monday.
Nice.
Right, that's enough pleasantries. I don't know why I veered off into that track. Note to self, let's not keep it social next time.
This is what happens when you watch daytime TV. You start trying to go all out, and in a minute we'll be doing recipes.
Anyway, so I've got Georgina from Lancashire on the line. She's here to tell us about a donkey sanctuary. Right,
I killed all the donkeys.
Let's just cut to the chase. So, Damien, what have you been watching? What's been going down in the hood?
Well, obviously, as I said, I've spent pretty much every waking hour, every hour that gave me daylight, where I either wasn't at work or playing with little one, building this bar. So my televisual watching has been slim on the ground. Managed to watch another episode of Sweet Tooth, and I've got to be honest, it's still a struggle. I'm not getting engaged enough with the characters to care. I'm episode 4, I think it is now, and it's not doing it for me. It's like pulling teeth. It's it's not doing it. I think we're going to carry on watching it because a bit like Warrior Nun the other week, it's something I can watch and chow down on Balti mix and not have to concentrate too much on as I spill most of it down the top. So
the way I kind of think about it is it's like that whatever they had on ITV about 8 o'clock on Sunday night. It's just one of those things. You put it on.
Murders.
So, yeah, akin to Midsummer Murders.
Jack Hawkins.
It's
Yeah.
just it's just something to while away the time, as you say, if you're having your tea or if you're, in your case, having Bombay mix or whatever it is.
Balti mix, get it right. It's not
Balti
Bombay
mix.
mix. Balti mix is so much better.
Any particular brand of
Co-fresh,
Baltic mix?
Co-fresh
Oh, there we
Balti
go.
mix.
We mentioned this last time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but let's
which-
keep mentioning it. You never know.
And
Well,
Snyder's
you-
pretzels.
We'll tag them this time.
Yeah.
Well, Snyder's pretzels chili flavour.
Oh, well, I've
Equally as
seen. We're not here to sell out, honestly, people. No, I've seen the first 2 episodes of Sweet Tooth, and again, I enjoyed it. Am I zapped in yet? No, because to be honest, I kind of forgot that I'd seen the first 2 episodes. So I need to now. I do want to finish it because I do like the written work and see what happens. And yeah, but I don't know. A lot of younger people seem to be digging it, as they could say these days. But apparently, but yeah, we'll see. I guess I need to
Yeah,
get
it's
there.
not
Like,
terrible. It's not bad. There's no, I can't necessarily fault it for anything. It's just like I say, I'm not engaging with any of the characters that are in it. And
yeah, I'm just waiting for Sweet Tooth to start singing "Somewhere Out There."
it
And
kind of
then-
just
and then-
lumbers
and then
from
go
one set
west.
piece to another. So there we
Nope.
go. That's that.
Everybody meets seems to nearly die as well. I
Yeah.
don't know, just bad luck.
And the only other thing I've watched is Caveat, which we looked at the trailer for. I think it was last week, maybe even the week before now. I lost track.
Yeah, it's still on my list. I haven't got to it yet.
Yeah, so I really wanted to like this. I think I probably said that last week. Everything about it looked really good. And on some levels, I did like it. The direction's good. The setup, or rather the sets they've used, is fantastic. You actually do feel manky watching it. So it's set in a tumble down, deserted cottage type place, and that comes off the screen at you. You really do feel manky, like you want to have a shower at the moment, every 5 minutes, because
Cool.
you can almost smell the damp coming from the screen. But ultimately, if you judge a film on its plot and the story, and it just doesn't really cut the mustard. I think there's a lot of plot points in it that I'm not going to go over, but the main one is I just don't think, no matter how strapped for cash you are and scrambled your brain is, would you necessarily agree to go and be chained up in a house on an island in a vast lake in the middle of nowhere?
I did it in Millbrook once.
Well, that's your lookout. But yeah, so that's the first thing that's just doesn't get well. He does explain the reason for the being chained up type scenario, but it's not a very good explanation, and it's just doesn't sit right.
I get what you mean. If it's built on a weak premise to begin with, then the further it goes,
Yeah, and
that premise has to hold it up. And if it's
Yeah,
not going to hold it up, it's
the character that is explaining to him about the setup, the chain, it's a vest, basically like a leather vest with a harness on it, and that's chained up to a whacking great big long chain that leads all the way down to the basement. It's basically to stop so that he can't go into his niece's bedroom, who this guy has been asked to kind of babysit for 4 or 5 days or something. It's all a bit odd, and it doesn't really get explained. And
it's a shame as well, because it's a little bit of a plot flaw that could have been quite easily rectified.
yeah, and maybe it is. I mean, I might have missed it. I mean, admittedly, I watched this twice. So I watched it, I think Saturday night, and I was absolutely knackered, so I ended up dozing off. So I tried again the following night.
The old Hawkins way of watching films.
Yeah, but I rewatched it. I put it up on the projector on the big screen out here in the, which is basically a garage in the garden. So I was away from the house, complete darkness. So I was proper set up for a really good, scary film, and it just didn't deliver on that. The scares come from the present storytelling, and the unfolding stuff comes from flashbacks, and they don't really meet up too well. I mean, I'm all for ambiguous endings and the viewer being left to kind of figure out a few things for himself, but I don't feel it gives you enough to then be able to figure out exactly what is going on. So like I said, I watched it twice. I might have missed something. It's very possible. I might just be thick as a whale omelette, and I've missed what the whole thing was all about. But even the bunny, which we thought looked really scary ass in the trailers, isn't really that scary when it's actually in the film. So all in all,
Was that the one bit where it looked scary?
pretty much, yeah. I mean, it pops up a couple of times, and you can't, and again, you can't work out whether it's, you know, you look at things like that bunny in other films. It's either, you know, it's possessed, or it's foreboding, or it's a warning. You don't know whether it's any of those three.
Yeah, normally it will like punctuate some sort of moment or
Yeah.
idealistic theme. Yeah, I get you.
But as I said, that's on one level. The kind of visually, it's a really good film. Like I said, the direction's good, the acting for what there is in it, because there's basically just two people more or less, and they both put in good performances. And as I say, the direction's good, the set is fantastic. It really does look like it's well, it might well be, for all I know, because they could have just found a random house and started shooting in it. But it really does look like a manky, deserted, tumble down house that you really wouldn't want to spend any more than 5 minutes in, let alone 4 or 5 days. But yeah, I was just kind of left thinking, not quite enough to go on to give you enough to figure out what actually is going on. So I might rewatch it and see if there's some stuff I missed.
Yeah, I think I'll keep it on my list. I will get to it.
Yeah, it's not. I say I wouldn't. I'm not recommending you don't watch it at all, but I wouldn't. Maybe it's just because I was really wanted to like it and I was really looking forward to it that I feel a little bit disappointed with it.
Fair enough.
And that's it. They're the only two things I've watched this week. So
Cool.
Okay. Sounds
Mr.
good,
Summers.
mate. All right. I have been. Well, I've got through quite a bit this week actually. Looking at it, just bits and pieces here and there. Sweet Tooth. Well, we've already talked about that. I've watched the first episode of the new Loki series.
Yeah, ditto.
On Disney Plus, and that is that's on. That's going to be something I dig into every week now. I've just got to remember that it's not on Friday anymore, so I keep waiting to Friday and then realizing it's been out a day or so, and like suddenly like you get a picture on the internet and it almost ruins it, and like no. But really enjoying it so far. Kind of did a good job of catching up anyone who might have missed various films or not quite been up to date on their Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it done that very well. There's a few little Easter eggs in there, which I guess are either going to be left hanging or picked up on later on. But yeah, no, really enjoyed it. Hiddleston's always good. Owen Wilson is always good, even though he does play Owen Wilson. But hey, that's a good Owen Wilson. And but he does look a bit older now. He's not Hansel anymore. But really enjoyed it. What did you think, Paul?
Yeah, so it was always, starting off from a good point when it cuts into or cuts from the Avengers films. It's got that to start from, as opposed to some new series that with no background on it, no special effects or so it sets the scene really well for someone that is looking for a quality product. As I said, Tom Hiddleston, Loki is a great character. He's that kind of, you're supposed to not like him, but everyone really does, because he's got the humor. He's got that kind of characteristics that again just make him endearing. I guess. Okay, then I know they needed to bring him back, and they needed a reason for him to be around. The whole time police type thing, I'm a bit wary of, to see how it unfolds. And again, is it just another opportunity to expand out into some of the other Marvel universe? I hope it tries to stay true to one storyline, as opposed to introducing too many other different multiverses or characters, and just using it as a route to bring back too many dead people or spin-offs or whatever that can't get their own show or something. But maybe that's a cynic in me, I don't know, but that's how things normally turn out. But no, I mean, the whole production's great. Looking forward to the next one.
I like the way how they set out, though, the fact that once he realised what had happened to himself in the future, he accepted the fact that, he is dead, so he has to stay there.
Yeah.
Because if he goes back in time, he doesn't exist anymore because he's going to die. So
Well,
they kind of.
It's typical Loki looking after number one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally.
He's not,
but it's that kind of. So it's kind of set that precedent early of time travel in Marvel characters and whatever else. I guess start to kind of get that base in line of.
Although Loki being Loki, he's obviously trying to think of some way he can get around it somehow.
Well, he's a bit of a trickster, so we know he's and so we'll see what happens. But I'm interested because what's also good is you're not really sure what's happening, so that makes it even better.
Yeah, and I like how Mobius and Loki play off each other as well. So instantly in one episode you've got the chemistry going, which is cool.
No, it was very good. Other things I have been watching this week, I actually, mainly because it was on the television as I was just about to go to bed, and then I found myself 2 hours later watching Die Hard 2.
Ah, sweet, yeah, I did see that.
Which is, it does stand up. So many people in it who deserve a mention that have gone on to bigger and better. Friend of the show, Tony Ganios, got ice picked in the eye by Bruce Willis in that one. Joe, I'll never get his name right. Leguiza, I can never say it. The dude who's in Moulin Rouge, and he was Luigi with the Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins, and loads of other much cooler stuff than that. Joe Leguizamaro, or whatever his name, I can never say it. He's in it. He gets about one line. Obviously, William Sadler, amazing. He can play anything from death to terrorist to sheriffs in Roswell. And great film. Always good. Straightforward, no real twist to the tail. The only bit I didn't realise until now, I'm watching it this time, was the general guy that they save, that the terrorists are after, and then they get him on the airplane at the end, right near the end, is the original Django from the Django films. I never noticed that before, but it's only because he cameoed in Django Unchained that I suddenly realised who he was. But yeah, little film fact connection for you there. I've also been enjoying the new Disney MODOK show. It's a bit weird. It's a bit Robot Chicken, but doesn't really obviously fit in with much of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it pokes fun at it and has a good laugh of supervillains parenting and trying to get your company back after it's been privatized. The normal sort of thing supervillains face. But that was okay. I'm enjoying it so far. It's nothing too serious. 20 minutes, makes you laugh. Off go. Other things I've been enjoying, I'm going back watching the recent series of the Demon Headmaster again, which is still good. Few episodes of the A-Team that I've been digging through, just sort of different ones coming out. There's a really cool one where BA goes back to help his mum. That was on again on telly the other day. I watched it recently, but it's really good because the gang is just a who's who of TV and film villains, including some of the gang that tried to take out RoboCop. Just basically the renter villains of 1980s film and TV are all there in full force in that one. I've also been digging for a few episodes of Knight Rider lately for something that may be coming up in the near future. And I've also been watching a few episodes of the Incredible Hulk TV show. I'm just in the process of reviewing that. We've got one to give away on the website at cultfaction.com. Go and check that out. And to be honest, it's a lot dark. I remember it being dark as a kid, but there's some dark stuff in that, even for 70s TV. Real soul-searching humanity, almost sort of depressing, suicidal Bill Bixby at times, But still good. And also, I did go back and I've rewatched a few bits of Love and Robots from the beginning.
Yep.
Ooh.
It's all right. It looks pretty and nice, but it ain't nothing I haven't seen before.
Well, there are enough episodes, so there should be something that you like.
Yeah, we said it. There's not all of them are Oscar winners, if you like, but
well, no, there's nothing wrong.
I think
with
the good ones are good.
And I don't know. I think it is because I know it's like 20 minutes. I'm just like, why can't that be a series rather than
Yeah, but that's kind of
Go on.
part of the
Yeah.
the premise, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I get that.
These are all. What? I mean, I'm assuming. I know. I remember reading something a while back about season 1, and it was, studios, sort of indie studios, if you like, that were sort of showing their wares. So
Yeah, that's right. And
they give us the cash.
Well, yeah, no, it is a great showcase, and I do agree with you. I just wanted a bit more, I suppose, in a weird way. It's like you watch a good one, then you watch that and you're like, can you just spend the money on that one? What they should do, if they were really harsh, is like at the end you vote.
Yeah.
Do you remember years ago when BBC Three done that, and they've done a whole thing of TV pilots, and you had to vote for what
Being
ones you
Human
wanted?
was one of them, and that went on to be a really good series.
Yeah.
The final one wasn't so good because pretty much all the main cast had buggered off because they'd gone on to bigger and better things like
Hold up.
I thought you meant that
Yeah.
BBC children's show where you had to vote for how you wanted the story to continue. Do you remember that one?
Sounds good too.
Yeah, I remember that. Can't remember what it was called.
No.
But yeah, one of those was that Fu Action with Carl Weathers and Ray Winston's daughter, and Prince William and Prince Harry got kidnapped, and it was like a kung fu thing, but in like bright latex weird costumes, and it was kind of like the Banana Splits met like some sort of kung fu movie. Fu Action, I think it was called, but it never got the series.
It's not a new premise, is it? I mean, Porridge came out of a something similar. They had a specific name for it. I can't remember what they called it now, but
It was all Ronnie Barker one-off.
It was like 4 or 5 different, 4 or 5 different Ronnie Barker sitcoms, and Porridge was the one that was picked up. And also, like, going way back, Play for Today was also a similar premise. They would do a play, and then some of those would get picked up. I think Boys from the Black Stuff was originally a one Play for Today type
Scum
thing.
as well, wasn't it? Scum was a TV before it was a film. Yeah.
So
no, you're right. So maybe we need more of that.
I was going to say that's what we need more of. Is that kind of stuff? People, a platform to allow this stuff to see the light of day and then decide whether it's going to be picked up or not.
But that's pretty much it for me. The rest of it's been watching the European Football Championships.
Exciting times.
Not really, but we try. But well, that's about it really. There's been a few other bits and bobs on, and that I've caught bits of. A bit of classic Red Dwarf was on the other night. That was okay. Still, most of the jokes still stand test of time, even if some of the imagery doesn't anymore. They need to sort of revamp it. What do you call it?
Yeah, but they did, didn't they?
Remaster.
They did do that.
Remaster. That's the word I was looking for.
If you're watching it on Dave or whatever it is, then they've probably still got the original.
Yeah, I think it was.
But they did remaster it for Blu-ray, probably DVD, I'd imagine, because there was a lot of they added a bit like Star Wars did. They added a few more spaceships and stuff, and sorted out the wobbly sets of
cool.
Red Dwarf going.
So there's probably that. Yeah, so they probably own that print for the Blu-ray then, and then Dave and whoever else got stuck with the classic, apart from the ones that they paid for.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
So what about you then, Paul?
So I've kind of gone around pretty much all of my VODs channels. So Disney, Netflix, Apple, BBC. So let's start.
BritBox.
So we started with so we talked about Loki. Don't need to talk about that anymore. Started watching For All Mankind season 2 on Apple. Really enjoying it. So I think we must have spoke about For All Mankind previously, where it's set in the past, almost an alternative history where Russia lands on the moon first, and it's the space race for America to catch up. At the end of the first season, they had a moon base established. Well, I say established, it was basically a tin can that looked a bit shoddy and that it was going to blow up at any point. But they had a foothold on the moon. And season 2 jumps ahead a few years, and I think we're in the early to mid 80s now, and the moon base has progressed and grown a bit, and it's how they're continuing on that journey, and trying not to have a war, but making sure that they're fully prepped with the Star Wars program and the moon base to take on any commie that comes their way from a pure American, apple pie perspective. But no, it's really good, and the production's really good as well, and it's just an interesting take, on looking at an alternative reality. But they try and make it real. It reminds me of was it Fatherland, where it was retelling the other World War II, as if Hitler had won. So yeah, no, I really enjoy it. So definitely give that a go if you've got Apple. Season 1 first, obviously. Which is a nice segue from Fatherland reference to Motherland. Gone through the box sets of Motherland just for some light relief on BBC iPlayer. Up to date on season 3 now. It's not overly funny, but again, it's another one that just passes the time. Does some good.
So this is the UK Motherland, not the Motherland.
Fort Salem,
which is whatever.
Yeah, it was based on a conversation last week that I thought I'd give it a go, so I just gave that a go at watching instead. But as I said, it's bubblegum TV. It's okay. I don't think I necessarily laugh out loud, but every now and again there's a decent smirk. What else have I been watching? So on Netflix, there's a new film with Jamie Dornan and Anthony Mackie, who was obviously in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And it's called Synchronic. And this basically, how to set the scene without giving it too much away. So basically, there's a drug that allows you, if you take it, you go back to a certain point in time, and if you move around, then obviously go back to a different period of time. Okay, so you could be sat in one chair, take a drug, end up in one time zone. If you're a few feet away or in a different part of a different location, then you end up in a different time. It was okay. It was done quite well, and also if you don't get back in time, then you're stuck in the past. So as I said, it's Jamie Dornan playing the lead role, and again, it's about how maybe they need to go back and find a missing daughter that may be lost in time. Does he make it? Does he find her? Does he come back? Who knows? Go and watch it. It's certainly worth a watch. As I said, it's probably a good job it didn't come out on cinema, because I don't think it's going to get completely rave reviews or justifies, if there's 4 of you spending it, what would equate to 80 quid after snacks to go and see it. But as a Netflix hour and 40 minutes, yeah, give it a go.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing the trailer for it. It looked interesting. It's an interesting concept.
Yeah, as I said, it was just a bit different, and it's done well. The actors are good. They do good performances. You can't really give it a bad review. It's just not a 10 out of 10. The other one, which was kind of random, but it was another one. It was on, so I started watching it and then didn't turn off. Was Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Just because why not? It's one of those ones that just makes me smile, makes me laugh. Jason Segel is brilliant in it, and it's got Mila Kunis in it, who
we all know you have a thing for.
Do I have a thing for her, or does she have a thing for me? It's never been proven, but
the only thing she had for you was a lawsuit, and you're not allowed to fire on
a restraining order.
Yeah, and even Russell Brand. I mean, I know a lot of people. It's a Marmite situation, but he's the perfect person to play the role in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and he does it brilliantly. It's just incredibly funny, and the whole idea that the fact that I can still be humming the musicals that he writes at the end, where about the puppet vampires.
Have you seen Get Into the Greek yet, Paul?
Yeah.
That's the sequel if you hadn't seen it. That was good as well. But yeah, I did like Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, it's just not as good as Sarah Marshall.
No.
So quickly segue on to the last one. So obviously, box sets, we've been getting through them quite rapidly. So we had a great idea. Why don't we try and find a box set that's got lots of episodes? So literally, when we're on BBC iPlayer, it's like Silent Witness, 23 series.
Yeah.
So we started watching it, and it's really, really interesting. Not the actual program. I mean, the program isn't particularly great, but it's really interesting to see how programs were made back in
I
the
bet it's
mid-90s.
really slow, isn't it?
Yeah, right at the beginning, it was Amanda, what's her face on it? It
Yeah.
used to be in Boone.
That's right. Yeah.
Amanda Burton.
That's
yeah,
the one.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's just really interesting because obviously at the time, especially like a gritty BBC drama, which means it obviously has to have a bit of swearing, a bit of grime, and a bit of nudity. So they always try and throw in a bit of nudity, and obviously they're trying to be cutting edge and
Something
hard.
for the dads.
Well, exactly. And obviously it was more gritty with autopsies and all that kind of good stuff as well. But it's just the language is completely wrong. It's the BBC trying to really use lots of words as opposed to how people would actually speak in the mid-90s. I.e., if you're if you're doing an autopsy and you're a doctor, obviously you can't just say, "Oh, he's a complete arse." It's like, no, he's such a cad. I find it's just really interesting to see how TV programs have changed and BBC dramas have changed over the years. So I think more than anything, that's what I'm interested in, is getting through them to see how the production.
No. Has anyone popped up yet before their time? Like some sort of maybe.
Oh yeah. So the one I was watching last night had Colin Salmon who looks incredibly young, but yeah, there's millions of people over the 23 seasons that have.
No, I just wonder if you're like a Benedict Cumberbatch playing a taxi driver or something, like hot dog vendor.
It's bound to happen.
Not yet, but yeah, I'm sure.
Motorcycle Courier number 2.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be because as I said, it was a big BBC drama. Well, still is, still going. But yeah, as I said,
that
it's
was
just more interesting to watch how BBC dramas have changed, and I'll be interested to see the progression from 1996 to 2021.
I was going to say, I remember watching it ages ago with Amanda what's her face on it, and then like more recently or whenever it's been on, it's definitely, I guess, the American influence on British drama, where suddenly it's gone from that to suddenly there's like a team and it's a big thing, and it's almost the 20-floor clock going on. We've got to solve this by then. And,
there was a switch where it went to CSI instead of.
Yeah, that's it.
Amanda Burton sort of plodding along. Because I mean, if you watch it now, I'm sure any pathologist will tell you, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. We literally just stay in a lab all day. We don't go and join the detective on an investigation and start doing interviews ourselves. But once you suspend that disbelief, it's actually still not a bad show. And the good thing is that each story is wrapped up in 2 episodes. So it's like, I think normally it's shown on a Monday and a Tuesday, and that's it. You haven't got to wait weeks and weeks for the story to unfold.
I liked that show when it was called Quincy ME.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
will always be the best.
But it's interesting because obviously they
battled City Hall.
Yeah.
The Man at City Hall, that was the original TV movie.
Go on, sorry, carry on, Paul.
Well, I'm just saying, obviously, DNA wasn't really around much in 1996, so some of the criminals are just like no gloves, no nothing, smoking, drinking cans of beer, just leaving that around, touching things without gloves, and sitting on beds. It's like, God, if he's not caught now, he will be in 20 years. When they go back and redo this.
Well, Trevor Eve will get him then. Whatever that was called.
But as I said,
old dogs, new tricks.
it was weird,
New tricks, that was it.
Yeah,
no, that's the other one. I was thinking of Waking the Dead, I think it was called.
Oh yeah.
And new tricks, same premise.
Yeah, but as I said, it was the BBC that completely different dramas in those days. If they had a posh character, they really were posh, and there's no in between. If they were common, then it would be blimey, Gav type thing, But as I said, that's what I think I'm most looking forward to, is the progression of BBC dramas over 23 seasons.
I might start watching that. It sounds comical when
I'm intrigued. I'm going more on a headhunting operation just to see who turns up over the time.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's worth a go. You know, even weird things like the quality of the or the graininess of watching it now, and the cars and all that kind of good stuff. When in all reality, it was just 1996. Yeah, which is a bit scary. But anyway,
what scares me is they run about that in the World Cup, and they're like, all these years ago, in 1996, and the people on the panel were like, I was 2 when I watched that, or I wasn't born then, and we'll be like, shut up.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah, but no, that's cool. What else are you watching? Any other box sets?
no, that's literally it. Apart from some random kid stuff like Teen Titans, which had
So your
Quite-
kids actually watch Teen Titans, or do you just put it on and watch it and then
Force them
pretend
to
they
watch
do?
no, kind of
We've
watches
seen-
it.
We've seen this one, Daddy. No, we're going to watch it again.
No, well, interesting enough, it was Batman's birthday today on Teen Titans,
Yeah.
which he found really funny because it's Neve's birthday, and there was also a montage where because Batman and Commissioner Gordon always have these little nights together where they watch TV shows, which is normally Teen Titans doing spoofs, and Beast Boy was doing a crime. Well, yeah, I think it was doing Crime Rider with his talking car, which is quite cool. But no, we watch Teen Titans. I also have to watch things like Descendants 2, Descendants 3, and Zombies. So yeah,
Sounds
that's
good.
it. Peace out.
Drop zone.
Drop zone. Oh god, that was weird. It looked like something just walked past me, behind me rather, my camera. Anyway, anywho.
Was it a presenter?
I wish. No.
Was it someone who cares?
So let's start the drop zone. So kicking.
You evil man.
God, come on, people. So the drop zone this week, as always, a myriad of stuff to get through. So we're kicking off the drop zone this week with our first feature, which is the Ghost of Borley Rectory.
Right, the Ghost of Borley Rectory is arriving this Halloween, apparently, COVID permitting, and it's taking place in 1937 in Essex, England, where given an opportunity to investigate the most haunted house in England, leading British paranormal investigator Harry Price is given the keys to the infamous Borley Rectory for 6 months, hoping to discover the truth behind the hauntings, strange sounds and apparitions that have plagued the abandoned property and surrounding area for over 500 years appear. And it stars, there's a lot of names that you're going to like. We've got Julian Sands from Warlock and Room with a View. You've got Colin Baker, the Sixth Doctor. Christopher Ellison, Burnside from The Bill and Running Scared. And Toya Wilcox from the 80s.
From the 80s.
It is and Quadrophenia. It is co-written and directed by Stephen N. Smith and produced by Louisa Ward, Stephen N. Smith and Paul G. Andrews. And it comes from Kaleidoscope Distribution. So again, another classic British horror tale that we only looked at quite recently, actually, if I remember rightly. Wasn't that the other film about Borley Rectory?
Yeah,
I think it might have
so.
been, yeah. It was definitely a Harry Price
I forgot the name of
story.
it. It was the one with the vicar and his wife and the little girl.
It probably was, because I mean, Borley Rectory is, as you said, an infamously haunted place. I don't think it actually exists anymore. I think it's been torn down. But it's a famous, like the Enfield haunting. It's one of those urban legend type ghost stories that pops up every now and again. It's a really famous one.
Right.
Fair enough. Well, what popped up for you guys with this trailer then?
Well, it's got a Hammer House of Horror look and feel to it, which I quite like the look of. I mean, as you said, you got Toya and Burnside on screen together. What's not to like about that?
And Colin Baker.
Yeah, whatever. But Burnside and Toya, that's a match made in heaven as far as I'm concerned. Like the trailer wasn't filled with jump scares, which is a good thing in my opinion, because normally that's what all these horror films horror film trailers are filled with, and that pretty much once you've seen them once, you know it's coming when you watch the film, so it takes the edge off. It looks a bit camp and overacted, but it also doesn't look like it's trying too hard, so I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, that's kind of gist that I got. It looks like a bit more of a BBC hour-long episode of something rather than a cinematic experience, shall we say? And there did appear to be a couple of really ropey scenes in it where looks like they were sat around a table doing a séance, and they all move at the same time, like the director said, "Okay, now go," and they all just suddenly do some random thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's another one of those ones where I'm not overly ecstatic to overly keen to go and watch it at the moment. I think I may let you two watch it first and then give me the nod or the thumbs down. But you know, it's got a huge cast of cult British TV and 80s to coin the phrase. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they all come together.
Yeah, I mean, an unhinged Colin Baker can do wonders. He did do that during his reign as a sick doctor in Doctor Who. He did that well. And Christopher Ellison, it's just good to see him back doing something. There's a man that could have been Britain's answer to Michael Ironside, who was just kind of... But he just didn't really do much after the Bill, did he? He had his own... He had Burnside, the spin-off.
Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we? It was never... It didn't quite cut the mustard. It wasn't...
It was there, it was in his hands, and it just crumbled away. But the thing I would say is, do I want to watch another film about Borley Rectory? I mean, there was the one a few years back with Jonathan Rigby as Harry Price, with Reece Shearsmith in it. And then, the one we had recently was The Banishing, Christopher Smith's film with, who was it? It was Jessica Brown-Findlay, John Heffernan, and John Lynch, and Sean Harris, and that. And that was okay, but kind of we thought it fell a bit flat at the end. So maybe this is the one. Be interesting to see how Toya gets on in this as well, because she's been dabbling a little bit in horror recently. She did Swipe Right a little while ago. I think it's about 2019, which is about a group of girl dancers who discover some boys on a dating app, and what could go wrong there? But it does, and she's involved in it. But so there's a lot here that could be good, but I do feel it has got that kind of what's the Cluedo vibe? Do they remember all that sort of thing? Yeah. Rather than even but I'm hopeful.
I guess it all depends on what aspect of the Borley Rectory mythology they focus on, because like I said, that place is full of different stories and different perspectives on what happened there, what went on there, and all that sort of stuff. So it depends on what one of those they're focusing on. Because I mean, as you said, there was even films in the late 90s and early 2000s that focused on Borley Rectory, and a lot of them were shoddy, to say the least, but mainly because they didn't focus necessarily on the right aspect of those the mythology of it all. So it depends on what this one does. But like I said, it looks a bit Hammer House of horror-y, if that's I've now coined a phrase there, Hammer House of horror-y, and I like that. Not relying on jump scares, not relying on blood and gore.
It's characters delivering twisted horror rather than
ghost story, rather than the M.R. James kind of ilk, rather than we've got a ghost and it's going to chase you around and eventually someone's going to get decapitated or some nonsense like that.
It's got a chainsaw.
Yeah. So I'm quite
cool.
Quietly excited, maybe is the phrase I'm going to use for this.
Wow. That was more excited than I am, but as I said, happy to be proven wrong.
Old bugger tonight, so
happy to be proven wrong. Okay, so that's the Ghost of Borley Rectory coming soon to you on
October.
So from the podcast trinity that is Damien, Brett, and Paul, we now move to another trinity, and their faithful companion Dogtanian and the Three Muskehounds. One for all and all for one. Muskehounds
Hounds
are
are always ready. And now you're all singing it and hating us. But Dogtanian and the Three Muskehounds are back, and it has been remade for the big screen and is set to arrive on June the 25th, 2021, in 10 days-ish, if depending when you listen. The original cartoon series was a hit throughout the 80s. I mean, it debuted in very early 80s and was just repeated and repeated and repeated all around the world, even up to the early 90s. And then it got repeated that much, there ended up being a sequel series, The Return of Dogtanian. And as I say, the theme tune even was popular through the playground. And as I say, you'll be humming it now. But does the new one stand up? What's it all about? Well, apparently, Dogtanian is an ambitious young swordsman who dreams of becoming a hero and joining the legendary Muskehounds. After providing his skill and earning their trust, he and the Three Muskehounds must defend the king from the villainous Cardinal Richelieu and his secret plots to seize power. Will the Cardinal win and take control, or will Dogtanian and his new friends foil the evil scheme before it's too late? One for all and all for one. Obviously based on Alexandre Dumas's legendary Musketeers books. This one has been brought to the big screen by celebrated animator Doug Langdale, who did the Puss in Boots and the Book of Life. What are we thinking of Dogtanian in his new incarnation?
So they've tried to keep the look of the characters quite as it was, but 3D-ize it. You know, so all the characters look
We're all
pretty
doing it now.
Yeah,
3D eyes.
So they're all familiar looking. They haven't really changed and beefed them up, made them into, you know, some random beefcakes or whatever. That's a positive. I guess a few concerns. It looked more like a European film that was badly dubbed, but the original cartoon was anyway. So I don't necessarily mind that too much, but it's a condensed version of the season that we watched as a kid, which was hours and hours and hours long, all crammed into a 90-minute film. So I don't know how that's going to compete.
Damien?
I think they should just leave it alone. I think, Paul, you just said the 3D-ization of Dogtanian was a good thing. I'm the opposite.
I didn't say it was a good thing.
I think it was positive. I'm sure you said.
No, I said it was a positive that they kept the look of the characters.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. They have. You're right there. But I'm not a fan of him being 3D-ized. Oh, Dogtanian should be 2D in my opinion. And I think they could have still done it in a not necessarily in that original animation style, but you know, an old-fashioned animation style would have still worked for me, I reckon. And I don't think anyone would have been none the wiser that it could have been 3D. But
well, at least it didn't go full-on Pixar, you know, and try and make it radically different.
You're right. I think it did look a bit like
Vicky the Viking.
No, Asterix.
Yeah.
It did look a bit like that, as you say, with a foreign cartoon that's been dubbed. So I don't know. It's not for me. But then I'm not a fan. I don't necessarily go out of my way to watch children's cartoons anyway. That's still a couple of years away from me. Hopefully.
I also don't think they necessarily changed it enough to be relevant with the times. It still seemed to have the 80s feel to it, as opposed to make it a bit more.
Is that the bit for the dads though? Is that what they're trying to? You know, like here's your retro wonder of like, I remember this, and here's the new shiny bit for the children.
Maybe.
But yeah, because the original, like you say, it was 26 episodes, the original series.
Yeah.
And they were a good sort of 20 minutes, half an hour at least from memory. And you know, that's a lot of story. So I just hope they don't like sort of I believe the technical term is sort of blow their wad in like sort of in this film for like an hour and a half. I'd rather have 3 or 4 films that tell the whole story rather than everything's done in sort of an hour and 10 minutes. And You know, they've done it. You know,
they're saying that there was a lot of waffle
Yeah.
in the actual series.
we could cut the mice out. We could cut a lot of the mice out. And but I always remember because Dogtanian ended up being Leonardo in the Ninja Turtles as well. Yeah, so yeah, I kind of want to watch it to see what it's like, but I'm a bit
Oh, sorry.
scared.
There was another thing for me that this might just be my memory rather than fact, but I remember the Cardinal and the I've forgotten the cat's name. They looked. I remember them looking very sinister and very sort of not necessarily scary, but a lot more sinister than they looked in this trailer. Is that just my memory?
I think
tricks on
I'm
me?
hoping because I think for the first couple of episodes, you didn't realise the Cardinal was necessarily the bad. That kind of got revealed. I think that we didn't quite trust him, and then how bad he was kind of got unveiled as it went along, and I think he changed with that. Same as the mysterious cat assassin lady. You didn't know who she was or who she was working for to start with, but they kind of.
I remember it might just be down to the animation style rather than the actual the way it was portrayed, if that makes sense. But I just seem to remember them being a little bit more sinister looking. But you know,
Yeah, I think
it also might have
80s
just been
onwards.
from the snippet of the previews that we had as well, as opposed
True.
to some.
But I do think the original was actually, despite it being, was it anamorphic or whatever? You know, it was actually drawn in a kind of more serious way.
Mm.
So the characters did it, and like the guard, I forgot his name now, Cardinal Richelieu's guard, who had the little moustache, that big dog all the way through. He was a lot more menacing but bumbling.
That's the word I was looking for, menacing. But yeah, I wasn't getting that from the trailer.
But we're not allowed to scare kids anymore, so.
No, it's true. They don't get the credit kids deserve now. Molly.
Yeah. That's my thing. I hope it doesn't talk down to them, because it's a classic piece of literature that in the original series was pretty much done justice. The twists and turns were there, the romance was there, the betrayals were there, people died and got injured and stuff, whereas this one, like, they'll all be back at the end to do a dance number, won't they? Then I saw her face, now I'm a believer. It's going to be like, I don't know. I'm worried but hopeful.
And that's just in general. Okay, so moving on from Dogtanian and through Muskehounds, something taking the school playground chat and the internet by storm, the Cuphead show.
Yeah, we've had a sneak peek of the Cuphead show being released, and it introduces the King Dice. He's the gamest in the land, and if you didn't know, he's the devil's right-hand man. Now, some might say his methods are shady, but he's voiced by the one and only Wayne Brady. Tired of the same old flim-flam? It's the video game that smashed into the scene with a gorgeous retro animation style that now comes to life in the Cuphead show. And the kids at school are going crazy for this, and they can't believe it's going to be a TV series. It's a character-driven comedy that follows the misadventures of the impulsive Cuphead and his cautious but easily swayed brother Mugman. Whether it's angry mermaids, boxing frogs, or the devil himself, the brothers often find themselves in hot water and their surreal home of Inkwell Isle. Now, again, I knew nothing about this at all until this trailer came out, but it looks clever and sinister enough to have me on board. King Dice looks particularly evil with his little moustache and beady eyes. And when you watch the trailer, the poor little telephone that gets called down to the stage, it's not going to end well for that telephone. Something horribly graphic's going to happen, I think. But yeah, I'm in on this. I know nothing about it. I don't know about the game, but the kids at school are like shocked that it's going to be a show. So the video game must be pretty violent. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, I don't know about Paul, but as far as I'm concerned, you're on your own there. I couldn't give a shit. I've no more room in my life for adult cartoons, if that's even what it's supposed to be. I'm stating now for the record, that's it. I'm out. Any more cartoons come my way, other than He-Man, then I'm not interested.
Spoilers.
I must admit, yeah, the whole Cuphead thing, whatever, no idea what it is, completely passed me by. The only thing I'd say is actually the animation is quite clever. In the fact that it harks back to the old school cartoons. More of that. Remember in Pinocchio where it all gets a bit sinister when he goes off to the island, and it's got that kind of feel to it. So if that's their intention, which it obviously is, then they've done that very well. But other than that, just no idea. Over my head at the moment. So yeah, let's let Brett watch that, and then you can report back, Brett.
Fair enough.
Okay, so moving on, spanning probably 2 decades at least, Monsters Inc. are back with Monsters at Work.
Oh yes, coming July 2nd, Monsters at Work is set after the events of Monsters Inc. And the city of Monstropolis is making the transition to be fueled by the sound of laughter. Tyler Tuskman, voiced by Ben Feldman, a recent scare major from the graduate from Monsters University, is working as a mechanic in the facilities team and dreams of working alongside his idols, Mike Wazowski, Billy Crystal, and James B. Sully Sullivan, John Goodman. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, Monsters Inc.'s been everywhere for, how long did you say it was for? Is it like 20 years now?
It must be about 20 years, and then obviously we had Monsters University a few years ago.
Yeah, ow. So yeah, so this is it's coming back, and I don't think it matters what we say. I think it's going to bank loads of hard cash.
Well,
it looks good though. It's got all the voices back, all the people are back,
So if you do have small children that did like Mike and Sully, obviously I must have watched Monsters Inc. about 1,000 times, or been forced to watch it 1,000 times. Monsters University came around and gave you a bit of reprieve from that and moved on to something else, so you weren't literally trying to kill yourself whenever the opening credits came on for Monsters Inc. and now we've got a series of Monsters at Work. I kind of got the impression that Mike and Sully are kind of more of a bit part characters in this one, and I'm not sure how much airtime John Goodman is going to get in this, but that could just be from the trailers. But yeah, I guess it's something else to keep the kids entertained if they like it.
And Damien, what do you think of this one? It's not an adult animation; it's for children. Do we like this one?
I can't comment because I haven't seen any of the Monsters films. So, I mean, as with the other 2 films, it looks visually stunning. It looks really good so far as the animation and the color and all that sort of stuff. But until my little one's older, I'm going to escape Monsters Inc. for at least another couple of years. It kind of came, I think the original was like late 90s, maybe early 2000s. And so by that point, obviously I wasn't interested in cartoons, the Disney world anyway. And I've not had a cause to watch it since then. So there you go. I can't really give you much information.
Okay, so that's Monsters at Work coming to Disney Plus.
Just to clarify, Monsters Inc. was 2001.
There you go.
Yeah, so I was right. Two
yeah,
decades.
no, I was just looking at it, just to see. I was hoping it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, because we had Toy Story late 90s, and then Monsters Inc. followed. Cool. So that's Monsters at Work. So moving on from monsters that invade the human world to get scares and laughter to fuel their own world, we move on to Invasion, about aliens invading our world.
Oh yes, this is.
I tried to do a segue.
Yeah, that was nice.
It was good.
Trying to make an effort.
That was Chris Tarrant worthy. That was good. Yeah. So it was. Invasion is Apple TV's. By the look of it, this is their big play. They've launched Apple TV. This is their big play. This is what they want to be. I think this is the show they want people to look at and then go and get Apple TV. Like, man, I need to see this. And they've revealed the premiere date and the teaser for this 10-episode series. And it's, as we say, it's called Invasion. It comes from Simon Kinberg, who did the X-Men, Deadpool, and The Martian, and David Weil, who did Hunters. And it is being described as a sweeping, character-driven Apple original series from Boat Rocker Studios. And the first 3 episodes will drop on October the 22nd, 2021, with new episodes every Friday. And it follows, they actually repeated this twice in their print, but I guess it's important. Invasion follows an alien invasion through different perspectives from around the world, and it is set across multiple continents. And then they repeat that again, and then they tell us that it stars Shamira Anderson, Goshi Farahani, Sam Neill, Firas Nasur, and Shilo Katsuna. Yes. So you've got, well, it's basically what Apple have done is in all their major markets, they picked a major well-known actor for that market, and that'll be the bit that covers that part of the world, and which is quite clever. And yeah, and we've got this weird invasion. So you've got soldiers, you've got weird stuff going on. Sam Neill appears to be some sort of like old sheriffy dude. It does look appealing, but it reminds me a lot of, do you remember Taken from about probably 30 years ago now, if Monster Inc.'s 20 years old? Do you remember Taken? It was a Spielberg one. I think Channel 4 or Sky
Yeah,
done
I
it.
remember that.
Yeah.
It was like an alien invasion-y abduction thing over like generations or something. It kind of I got that sort of vibe off of it, that it might be a bit slower than intended.
Yeah, well, I got a kind of War of the Worlds knockoff feel to it as well. So, you know, aliens invading sci-fi. I mean, none of that's anything new. So, unless it's got something special about it, it's not going to be rushed to subscribe to Apple.
I guess the production, team have brought us a lot of great stuff, including The Martian, which is one of my favourite films ever. So it's funny enough. So some of my points, I said it looks like they've actually tried to do it on a global scale, which is cool, as opposed to the War of the Worlds film, which was more centered around Tom Cruise and his family, like that. Because again, you want to see how things are developing across the globe, as opposed to just what Tom Cruise is getting up to with his kids. And also, it looks like a vast improvement of the TV show War of the Worlds that was out. I think it was last year.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I wasn't necessarily speaking about the production of it, but another alien invasion across the globe and everyone's involved. That's essentially War of the Worlds, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but it's not, because that would be a breach of copyright. And again, it's 10 episodes in what it may be a first season, I'm guessing, depending on how it goes. So again, there's lots of time for hopefully a lot of development, and it's not just going to be going off to England. Oh, blimey, chaps! It's the Americans on the line. They've got a way to save us.
Independence Day. That sucked.
Yeah, so hope. I want to get my hopes up. I mean, as I said, when it comes to Apple, it's this, and obviously Foundation as well, which I'm more than looking forward to. So yeah, they've spent some money on it.
I just wish, rather than do this, just make more V. Everyone liked V. We don't need new ones.
Yeah, well, they tried to remake V, didn't they?
No, NBC tried to make V.
Well, someone did. It doesn't matter who it was. Yeah. Someone did, and let's be honest.
Oh yeah, no,
I was trying to be. It was.
No, the remake. No, I'm agreeing with it. Just as they got it round and straightened the course on it, they cancelled it. So it was like, cheers, guys, bastards. Way to ruin a franchise. But I've got over that though. It's okay. But yeah, this didn't grab me. I'll probably watch it if it's on, but I got the impression it's one of those. I'll watch the first one and then forget it's on, and then 6 months later everyone will be talking about it and I go, oh yeah, I watched that and forgot all about it.
Okay, so that's alien invaders trying to take over the universe, which brings us on to
By the power of Grayskull,
the Masters of the Universe, Revelation.
It's back. We finally got the teaser trailer. Kevin Smith's Hound Masters of the Universe Revelation, which apparently picks up exactly where the 80s series left off. and brings the power of Castle Grayskull back to the world. Well, I like it, really. I'm in.
I mean, I love everything about that trailer. The color palette was spot on. It's not, they haven't brightened anything up. It looks kind of dark and muted tones, just like the original series did. And a great choice of song.
Really?
And a bit better animation.
Well, of course, the animation is better. I mean, we got this in the when we saw the sort of sneaky peek pictures that released a couple of weeks back. He does look a bit like Disney's Aladdin, but I'm going to overlook that, move on from that.
Paul, you sound the opposite.
I loved everything about it, apart from I Need a Hero. It just made it feel dated. It was the wrong song. It just didn't work for me. And
You're wrong.
Well, I'm not wrong. It made it cheesy. It made it hammy. They could have picked so many good 80s songs, or just a modern song to bring it.
What would you have gone with, Paul? What would have been your choice?
No, I don't know. But
you come in with that, and you don't have a better option.
Well, no, but even if it was a modern song, just to make it a bit more relevant, or I just wasn't down with the Bonnie Tyler over the trailer for this.
They're never going to use Symphony of Destruction for a cartoon. But yeah. So, but you're in for the cartoon, just not the trailer.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
And there was that Master Universe Revelation prequel comic that's doing the rounds as well. I haven't had a chance to get my hands on that yet, but that apparently links. That's the glue between the old series and the new series. So we'll hopefully get some clues to the new series. But I will still carry on my thing that I think Tila will end up being the sorceress. Because it's her mum. It's her mum.
I assume they've kind of just ignored the space nonsense.
Oh yeah, no, this is straight on from the original series.
And I'm assuming this isn't going to have the same public service announcements like the original series did at the end of the episodes.
That would be. I think they should do that for
one.
Yeah,
definitely should do that. That would be awesome.
Hey kids, if you're dating on an app, you need to.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What would they be? What would be the PSAs nowadays?
I think you're right. I think
it would be online,
around the internet, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Know who you're talking to and all that sort of.
Don't send photos.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say we're all on board for He-Man then.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And the PSAs. I've got a list now.
Let's move on to news items.
News desk.
The news.
News items. So, has it been an action-packed week, Brett? Have we been inundated with news, or are we just scrounging around the bargain bin for anything? I've got a feeling it's the former. I think we've got some good news items, but prove me wrong.
Well, we had the really tragic news of the passing of Ned Beatty at the age of 83 years old, known for his roles in like Superman, amongst other things that would pop him up on the cult faction radar. Yeah, he was 83, passed on Friday. The sad news was broken by his managers. I mean, he was a guy that kind of Network in 1976 was a big thing for him. Got an Oscar nomination for that, and he was only in it for about 10 minutes. He was also in Deliverance, The Waltons, The Rockford Files, Kojak, as I said, the Superman films, bit of MASH, All the President's Men, Silver Streak, Exorcist 2 even, An Incredible Shrinking Woman, Back to School, Murder, She Wrote, the 1990 Captain America, the really awful one everyone hides, Toy Story 3, he was the big bear dude whose name I've totally forgotten. The bear that runs the thing.
Yeah,
that
big
was
huggy
him.
bear or something.
Yeah,
Hug and Kiss. Is it Hug and Kiss?
It. Yeah, it's like hugging something. Emily's got a toy version of it, obviously. Toy.
Lotso.
Lotso hugging bear. That's the one.
that was him. Rango as well, he was in. Back to School, Ronnie Dangerfield. Yeah, I mean the guy, and that's just the stuff that turns up on our radar. There's a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
That isn't really what we would cover in Cult Faction, but the man, everything he was in, he nearly stole the scene. So
and it was so diverse as well, wasn't it? I mean, you mentioned Deliverance. the acting in that's is just phenomenal from everyone in it.
Yeah.
And then moves on to some random comedy parts, and the whole smorgasbord of different acting ability.
In other news, which apparently has caused great excitement, it's back on the Apple TV trail again, where they have released, well, first of all, the season 2 trailer for the series C, which
Oh yes.
it was news of the second series, and the fact they dropped it was what made it news and why it's not in the drop zone. And I've never seen the first series, but I know it's Jason Momoa, Aquaman himself, and he's like blind, and it's in the future, and they kind of like have fights and stuff. But now
it's not just him; it's everyone that's blind, apart from a select couple of children, shall we say?
Okay. Oh, yeah, here we go. It's set 600 years in the future after a virus has decimated humankind and rendered the remaining population blind. When all humanity has lost the sense of sight, humans must adapt and find new ways to survive. But the bit that's got everyone excited about it, Dave Bautista, Drax the Destroyer himself, is in season 2. And they they show that they meet in the trailer already. I thought that was going to be the big build-up of season 2 when they get face-to-face. Drax versus Aquaman. But they put it in the trailer and it looks like they might be brothers. It says it all in the trailer. I may be wrong, or maybe he's using it in a gang way that's still popular 600 years in the future, where he says, "Hey, my brother," like Hulk Hogan does to anyone. It's that kind of thing. And also it stars Alfred Woodard, who I don't know who that is, because most of the trailer is Jason and Dave Bautista. So Alfred Woodard, sorry. Good luck to you as well. But Apple is screwing you over at the moment. Get in the trailer more. Anyone else though? What do we think?
No, so I really enjoyed the first season.
I was just going to say I've not even seen it, so.
Oh, can you give us? Is that basically it for the first season, or is there a bit more we need to?
Yeah, no. Go on.
Oh no, I'm just gonna say Alfred Woodard. Just double check. She's the lady in it.
That's right. Yeah.
Just to make sure. So she's a bit in the trailer. I apologise.
No, it's as I said, everyone's blind in the future because of this virus or whatever that's kicked off because of man's badness. So they don't like technology. They don't like looking back. They think that vision is bad, and that they've been cursed for a good reason to bring back, the world to how it should be. There's 2 Jason Momoa's kids can see, so they will try and hunt them down. It's kind of got a Planet of the Apes cross between Game of Thrones type vibe to it. You'll know what I mean when you see it. It's a lot of set in the woods and lots of fighting. Really clever scenes as well. Watching blind people or people portraying blind people having big old battles. So it is clever. And again, Jason Momoa really does kick ass, and some of the fight sequences are what you'd expect, top notch. And to see him come up against Dave Bautista, I'm looking forward to that.
Well, there we go. That is C. And if you want to see C, you need it to get the Apple TV.
I don't think I'm going to bother.
Or buy the Blu-ray or DVD for C on Apple TV. Yeah. But it does look cool.
Meh. I don't think I've got
there's no
any more room
capes or
in my
anything?
life for post-apocalyptic stories. There's been so many of them lately.
Well, you said that you had no room in your life for more animation, and then
Yeah.
No, adult. He
Adult
said adult animation. Kid animation's fine. Just adult animation. He doesn't want.
Can't be doing it. Solar Opposites, Family Guy, American Dad,
Bob's Burgers.
Rick and Morty. Can't be doing this. It's too much. Saturated the market.
You're just making yourself sound so uncool and hip.
Good. I'm approaching my 43rd birthday. I am old, uncool, and unhip, and I'm fine with that.
Oh, that bombshell.
You heard it here first, folks.
Is it 43? I don't know how old am I? No,
44 soon.
44, yeah, I'm approaching my 44th birthday. So there you go.
That count anymore. And
Yeah,
we're
dementia
having
setting already.
judge TV programs. I want
Anyway,
that
let's move
one.
on.
I want that one with the Fonz in. I like that.
Yeah. Bring back Quincy, that's what I say. Oh, you can't. He's sadly passed away.
I'm sure it's probably on Forces TV somewhere. Or will be
It'll
soon.
be Quincy's on a channel somewhere in the world every hour of the day. Right. Next up in the news, we have got the Netflix mega event coming this July, and it's one I'm quite excited about. It's R.L. Stein's, who's the guy that did Goosebumps and all that, but he also wrote loads of other books that are really good as well. And it's called Fear Street. And it's a concept thing because you're going to get 3 movies in 3 weeks that are all one killer story, as it says. So Fear Street Part 1 drops July the 2nd, and that's in 1994. On July the 9th.
Set in 1994.
Set in 9th, but yeah. Fear Street Part 2 is set in 1978, and that's July the 9th. And then Fear Street Part 3 is set in 1666, and that debuts July the 16th. And as the blurb goes, in 1994, a group of teenagers discovers that the terrifying events that have haunted their town for generations may all be connected, and they may be the next targets. Based on R.L. Stein's best-selling horror series, the trilogy follows the nightmare through Shadyside's sinister history. If you've got a town called Shadyside, you know there's bad stuff going down.
Yeah.
I want a Shadyside High t-shirt. And I think this might be the I think this might edge Stranger Things a little bit to the side, because I think it's a bit more. I think it might be a little bit more edgy. I think it might be a little more street than the Stranger Things guys, because they're not back till Halloween, are they? So this might get that little bit more teeth on it, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I like the idea of this. I like the idea of it being an event, and it's over the course of 3 weeks, wasn't it? You just said that.
3 movies, 3 weeks, one killer story.
It's a good concept.
Decent idea, yeah.
And nice thing about his stories are they actually are quite scary, and they're deliberately meant to be. So it's not a children's, or it's not a mundane or or something for sensitive kids. A lot of the stuff nowadays is made for. This is a proper. It's going to be scary. Expect to be scary, because that's what proper and decent kids stories should be.
Yeah.
Going back to the old fairy tales of old, they all have a dark side. They're all supposed to be a bit scary, because kids should be scared. They like being scared.
Think back to Goosebumps. He wrote all those. Some of them,
exactly.
not necessarily me. Think back to the TVs. Some of them were really messed up, and he had to draw the line there because it was a kids show, so he couldn't go too far. He hasn't got to do that now in this. Netflix have given him the green light to take it where he wants it to go, and I want to go to Shadyside. Which I can't believe we called it that. What a great writer he is, and he calls it Shadyside. But don't worry, I'm sure that'll be revealed.
Yeah, maybe so. I think there was I think it's got that kind of post Scream vibe to it, and there was, I think, in the trailers but with trailers of the multiple films that are in it, I spotted quite a lot of references to classic horror slasher films.
Cool.
Obviously, Scream stands out straight away. Friday the 13th stands out straight away. The Last House on the Left, and I'll Spit on Your Grave. I'm sure there's probably more in there. Probably just in the trailer, let alone what's going to be in the actual films themselves. But
excellent. That's what we like. We like
exactly.
A nice reference.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I'm definitely on board with this. But I might wait until they're all out.
Watch
and
all
then
3
go
at the
for
same
it.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to wait.
No, so I think I might embrace it how it's meant to be. 1 a week. Give me something to look forward to. Because
I'm in 2 minds now. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
I suppose we could cover them, couldn't we, as well? Obviously, we've got the week, so we could do a bit on each week on the show, maybe.
Oh, I know what we could do.
Oh,
we could come around here and watch them on the big screen.
Trilogy special.
Yeah. Anyway, let's discuss that offline.
Yes. He wasn't inviting all you lot. It was just
No.
us three.
Yeah, I'll start selling tickets.
Social distancing was still required.
Okay, so that's going to be a big one, and look, we've almost turned it into an event. That's how excited we are about Fear Street coming to Netflix. Also in the news, we've had the first look released for the School for Good and Evil, which a lot of people are excited about, and it's the first look at author Saman Chainani's the School for Good and Evil, where we meet the Coven in this clip that they've released. And it's the book turned film adaptation that comes to Netflix in 2022. So it's probably still being made at the moment. They've churned this out during Netflix's Geek Week to, I guess, whet our appetites. But I'll be honest, I know little about this. So, and I can't say it's got me yet. Anyone else?
It just looks a bit like The Craft to me, whatever it was.
That's exactly what I've written down as well. I don't, again, like you, I know nothing about it, so these could be really popular books for all I know, but it's not. It just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, there are a load of books, and it's a series, and
I mean, then there's the kind of Sweet Valley High category of books. Do we know?
well,
Or is it?
So they've sold the School of Good and Evil sold more than 1.5 million copies worldwide and has been translated into 25 languages across 6 continents. So it's doing all right.
Yeah.
And it says on here, it is a school where the children of fairy tale heroes and villains are sent to learn how to follow in their parents' footsteps and graduate to have their own story.
How's it Descendants then?
Yes, that sounds like Descendants, but again, it's
Yeah.
what bits
Without
TV
the singing and
series pick
dancing.
up on. So it sounds a bit like American Horror Story Coven as well, if they're going for the whole Coven thing.
Yeah.
American Horror Story have done that, but I think the jury's out for me on that. I need to see more yet. Now, finally, in our news items, we've got the Batman controversy that has arisen during the making of Harley Quinn Season 3. Now, it turns out, if anyone's seen the Harley Quinn cartoon, don't think, oh, my daughter likes Harley Quinn, I'll let her watch the cartoon. No, don't ever do that. It is definitely an adult animated series, which I know Damien's had enough of because he doesn't like. I think most of it just intimidates him, in all honesty, and I think it's just too much for him to take in. But it's on HBO Max in America. We get over here, but it is a very, very, very adult animated series, not just in a kind of South Park way. Because it's played out in almost a realistic way, but really adult. And basically, the controversy comes from in the new series. They wanted to have a scene where Batman and Catwoman were getting jiggy with it, and Batman, to quote Alan Partridge, was going to venture southward, but apparently they weren't allowed to do that because DC said that you can't do that in a cartoon series. You absolutely cannot do that. Heroes don't do that. So the creators of the cartoon series replied, "Are you saying that heroes are selfish lovers?" And they said, "No, it's that we sell consumer toys for heroes, and it's hard to sell a toy if Batman is also going down on someone." Where do we stand on that? Should Batman? I don't know how to word this. Should Batman venture south once in a while? Does it damage him as a hero? Bearing in mind, about a year or so ago, they had a comic come out where Batman's schlong was basically displayed for the world in silhouette, but they kind of coloured the silhouette a little bit, not dark enough, and it was apparently quite graphically clear that then, so the ones out with the schlong in are now a bit more collectible because they recolored it a lot darker next time, so you could just see an outline rather than all the details. But so they've done that in the comic book, so why can't Batman do that in a cartoon series for adults? Should he or shouldn't he?
It's a just different. You just have to look at it from a completely different angle. And I know you just said that. What you said at the top of this, which was, you just said at the top of this, don't let your kids watch Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
But there is such a history of Batman, Superman, the whole shebang, all being marketed towards kids that regardless of whether it's an adult animation or not, you just can't do it.
So I think take the whole adult material aside, because there's been sex scenes in some of the other episodes. It seems that the whole point about this story is him performing a certain act and you kind of think, well, they're kind of damned whatever way they go, because if he doesn't, if it's just one way, then it's almost sexist, or it's that man dominating woman, or Catwoman in this case, whereas actually he's trying to be a real man and look after his woman, and vice versa. No, but vice versa. But when you look at
films and media in general, you don't. I mean, if you're listening with kids right now, turn it off. Turn this podcast off for 5 minutes. But you in films and TV in general, you will get a blowjob scene, if you like.
Exactly.
If it's 15 plus, possibly, and that's been kind of the way of things for God knows how many years, 30, 40, 50 years. It's in Police Academy, it's in all those kind of what you call boldy sex comedies from the 80s and stuff. What we're talking about here, rightly or wrongly, is not in mainstream films, and I think it's a big leap to go from it not being in to being rarely seen to jump into an animation.
No, but I think it is. I think it's on the rise. Oh, no pun intended. Where more films and sex scenes are. It's not just about a one-sided relationship. It's about.
No, I don't disagree that it shouldn't be, or it should be, whichever way around you look at it. But what my point is that to make that leap from nothing to being in a cartoon effectively, I think is a different. She's trying to choose words. It's difficult. It's a different ballpark. It's not normalized in the same way as what I just talked about.
Yeah.
Well, so if you were seeing it more in non-animation, then I think that leap to animation wouldn't be such a big deal.
Okay, no, that's what you're saying. But yeah, because in
I really articulated that how I meant it.
I know what you mean. I think they meant it. I think they got you. In the Batman Killing Joke animated movie, which is nothing to do with the Harley Quinn one, but they made it because a lot of the DC cartoon films are a lot more for adult than they are. It's probably the better thing DC do actually in their animated movies. They put a bit in which wasn't in the comic where Batman sleeps with Batgirl on a rooftop, and so it's his friend's daughter, it's Commissioner Gordon's daughter, and that was quite full on and suggestive, and some interesting imagery in that. But then and that was the kind of their normal sort of cartoons that they churn out, but again they are a little bit more mature. But in this series, which is blatantly basically the DC universe is South Park or whatever else, suddenly we can't have things out, or even I don't even know if they could just have it implied, even because they seem to be worried about that. But yeah, I guess it is all about maybe protecting the image of Batman.
I think it does the opposite to protect the image of Batman, but I don't think it's got anything to do. I think the statement that's come from HBO is just a bit of a cop out. It's just them saying Batman. What do they say? Batman doesn't do that, or superheroes don't do that, or whatever it is they said. I think it just harks back to the how sex is portrayed in the media, films, TV, whatever, is a kind of almost misogynistic view of sex anyway, which is kind of this is terrible, quick in and out and move on, and they're not prepared to go any further than that. And I think the reason for that is because other things don't go further than that. So for a TV or it's not a TV, is it a TV show or is it
adult animated TV show?
Yeah, so I think for something like that to make that leap, I think for them it's just a bit too far.
Fair enough.
I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I just think
Oh,
there's more to it than just this kind of cop out. Superheroes don't do that thing. I think that's a bit of a, I don't know, cop out or red herring. I think it's more to do with the fact that how sex is portrayed in films and TV is very much, it's just about the man, isn't it? So they're not prepared to stick their neck on the line and go any further. This is going to be a bugger to edit.
It's all good. So there we go then. Anything to add on that, Paul?
No, I mean, as I said, when you look at The Boys and some of the actual books and comics that were spawned off from The Boys that aren't actually on the show, they do some really depraved things where it's all, men in essence raping women. So if anything, and if we accept the fact that this is a adult animation, then this seems to be a step in the right direction, I would say.
Boys doesn't carry the baggage that Batman, Superman, etc. does it? Because none of those, I know they're obviously carbon copies of established superheroes, but they don't carry the baggage of the real, in inverted commas.
And I guess my point is, if we're accepting that this is a adult animation, and if we're accepting the fact that there are going to be graphic scenes, I would rather it would be, a giving relationship as opposed to a one-sided misogynistic relationship. My point.
Which is also shown in the cartoon when she's with Joker.
And there we go.
So that concludes the news desk this week.
Oh no, it doesn't. No. I've got some cancellations and renewals. I think.
No! I'm scared.
Might be old news, but Manifest has been cancelled after 3 seasons. No. I know we talked about it a while back. I never started watching it because I was worried it was going to get cancelled. So I don't know if season 3 wraps up anything.
I bet it does now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even finished airing or not, to be honest. But that's been cancelled. Big Sky is getting a season 2. I don't think that's a real surprise because they're based on a series of novels, so that was probably always going to get a season 2 if it was received, half decently, and I think it has been. Peacock have ordered a series of Ted, as in the Seth MacFarlane.
The bear.
Yep, the bear.
Cool. I like that.
Peacock is NBC, isn't it? It's their streaming service, I think. So that's only literally ordered it. So when that comes out, what the deal is with that, don't know yet, but could be interesting.
That's cool. I like Ted.
And season 2 of the Outer Banks premieres on July the 30th. I don't know if either of you two watched the first season of that.
No, what's that about?
No.
So this is all from memory, so I might be getting a few things wrong, but it's a kind of young adult drama. This kid or teenager is all early 20s, I don't know. He lives on his own. His dad went missing looking for some sort of hidden treasure that's supposed to be a ship that sank on the Outer Banks where they live. He goes off and searches for it. They get as a group together, but there's some sinister stuff, people looking for it as well, and all that sort of stuff. I don't remember how.
Are they a family of Italian gangsters?
No, it's not quite Goonies, but it wasn't a bad series. I say I'm going from memory. I think it was last year or even the year before that it was out. So I don't even remember how it ended, but it was quite. I remember watching it at the time and thinking it was all right. So could be good. And yeah, that's it. Cancellations, renewals, and etc. That is the end of the news then.
And there we go, the end of the news. Lot of stuff to take in there.
It's been a weird show today. I feel like we've gone round the houses and covered pretty much everything that we could, and some things which I didn't ever think that I would discuss in regards to Batman.
I do a podcast that involved Amanda Burton, to be fair, so that's a good thing,
Yeah, for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the kind of thing we do on the Cult Faction podcast. We cover all the topics that people want to talk about, be it Amanda Burton, be it Batman, be it Burnside from the Bill. They're the things that are out there. They're on the end of people's lips, and we're there bringing it to them.
The end of people's lips.
Are we talking about Batman again?
Yeah. I think it might be time to wrap up, Paul. What do you
Okay,
reckon?
so I think we're spent. So this was episode 17 of the Cult Faction podcast. Muskehounds, familiar grounds, and bats out of bounds, and they certainly are. Thanks for listening. As ever, check us out on cultfaction.com. We're available to stream on all of your podcasting streaming services. And obviously, if you do want to get in touch with us, then we're on cultfactionpodcast@mail.com. We promise if you send it, we will read it. Thanks for listening. As ever, I am Paul Hawkins, and it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me, Brett Summers.
And it's a goodbye from me.
I
Superman.
didn't even realise I said that. I've never heard of it. I don't know who he is.
We got Brett taking off his shirt. Damien being rude. Well, that's your fault for swearing.
One take Hawkins, what's that?
I'm so excited. Could you sound any more pissed off?